Hello, I'm Sean Hellman, author, craftsman, toolmaker. Today I'm going to talk about my axe. We've got to resharpen it. I've made a nasty nick in the axe here that must be at least 1.5 mils deep, if not nearly 2 mil deep down from the edge. How am I going to get this out? What is the best way of dealing with this? So let's have a good look at it. You can see how flat that is on the end there. And if I just put my finger next to it, you will see that it is quite deep. How are we going to get rid of that? Anyway, it's quite simple. It'll take a bit of time. Okay, I could regrind on my grinder. It'll take me 5 minutes to reprofile the edge here. Anyway, the edge or the grind is a convex grind. It's slightly flatter this side, more of a bevel this side. And I want to keep that grind in there, which means I'm going to have to abrade right back here and right back here to sharpen it. If I don't, I'm just going to make the bevel more obtuse, which I don't want. This is a great axe for slicing in through wood and for cutting wood. It's almost like a knife. So what am I going to use? I'm going to use a 320 diamond file. Now I've got a whole load here going up to 2,500 grit, and I'm just going to rub away on the edge here, and you can see where I'm sharpening or where I'm abrading. I'm just going to turn this around a little bit and do it like this. This is safe. I may be working into the edge, but I've got a good stop just here so that my fingers can't actually touch the edge. So I'm working right back from the edge here. This is where a grinder really does help, and I use belt grinders. Okay, you can see that I haven't even really got to the edge yet, and I'm just abrading. I'm abrading this convex, this shoulder here. And again, I will do the same on the other side. Okay, I've abraded down to the edge now, and you can still see the nasty nick in there. This is an old axe like this. This is a Kentish pattern axe, Whitehouse and Sons. You should be able to use a file on it. Some of the artisan made axes these days are tempered a little bit hard, and you can't easily use a file. Okay, a file is going to be the quickest way of removing material. And you can see I'm working way back here on the shoulder and slowly coming down to the edge. Okay, you can see I'm wearing gloves. I don't want to catch myself on the edge at all. Slicing cuts are horrible. Right, it's not jutting. The axe edge isn't jutting out too far from this block, and I've got the table here. Both are helping me not to get my hand too near the edge. Okay, I can also draw file, which is this parallel movement to the edge. So I'm going at right angles across the file here. Okay, let's go back to the diamond. Most of my time is spent on the shoulder here, because I want to keep the original edge geometry. I had to go over to a 600 grit now. This side, I've reprofiled this side, and I want to go down to a finer grit. I'm not too worried about really polishing out all the scratches over the convex bevel. It's not really necessary. I don't need a mirror finish on this axe at all, and our ancestors, our forefathers, certainly never bothered about it, and they never really went as fine with their abrasives as we do these days. We're really spoilt with our choice of abrasives and the quality of our abrasives as well. So that's coming on nicely. Now I can see where I'm going by changing the orientation of the scratch pattern. So I'm going across like this, and I'm going along or parallel to the edge like that, and it gives a different reflection with the scratch patterns. Okay, that's nearly done. I'm going to flip it over. You're going, hey Sean, you haven't got that nick out. Well, I'm not going to get that nick out. I don't have time to get that nick out. I want to get on with my work. I don't want to be farting around with this axe for a long time. And you will notice, if you look at work of craftsmen in the past, you can see the work on their beams, their timber frame beams in the houses, or even the panels. Quite often you can see small lines, raised lines on the work where a nick was in their tool. And it didn't really matter. What mattered was getting the work done, not having the most perfect finish imaginable. And after all, the axe really is a roughing tool. Very few of us use it to finish with. And if we did, obviously I would want to take the nick out. Okay, let's take it off and have a good look at where we're at now. Okay, the nick is coming out. It's a lot smaller than it was. Oh, quite a burr on the metal there. Well, there would be because this is quite soft steel. Okay, I'm going to swap over to 1200 grit now. Right, big burr along there. And let's take the burr off with the 1200 grit. Flip it over, yes. Oh look, can you see that? There's quite a... Right, I'll just zoom in again. Okay, just here you can see this foil, this wire edge here. Flipping over, there we go, that's almost going to break off. And that's broken off. Okay, this little bit here. That's the wire edge, the foil edge that's just come off. That was formerly a burr. It's now a very thin piece of metal. That's okay, let's carry on. That wire edge, that little foil, that little bit of metal is completely normal and is part of the process and is an indicator that we're actually getting there. We're actually sharpening the axe. So let's flip it over. Very little burr there. Oh, there's a little little wire edge just there. Let's take that off. Flip it over again. Right, where's my 2500 grit is here. Let's just give it a rub with the finest. This is about 9 micron or so in abrasiveness, or in grit size, I should say, 9 micron in grit size. You can see here I'm working from behind the edge. I definitely don't want my fingers anywhere near the edge. I do not want to cut them. Slicing cuts are really nasty. So, next step is let's drop this. Okay, I've got my strop here. Let's apply some polishing compound. And we're just going to rub this over the edge. And this will lift the edge up and make it smooth. Again, I'm just trailing over the edge. I certainly don't want to push a strop into the edge because it will just cut. I make and I sell a lot of strops and strop and slip sets and all sorts of other sharpening gear for sharpening up knives and hook knives, especially for spoon carvers. You can see that the edge is really beginning to shine up. Right, I've changed the edge profile a little bit. Oh, that's really sharp, and I don't recommend you feeling the edge like this. I tend to use my nail by pushing my nail along. I've actually, surprisingly, I thought I wasn't going to, I've actually removed that nick. So let's see how sharp this actually is. There's a bit of paper, it's all a bit damp in here. So I'll look up and I'll see how long it took. I've been filming the whole process, whole load of videos, and I'll just tot up how long. That's, for an axe, that's sharp. Oh God, that's silky smooth there. That's gorgeous. Okay, that edge is pretty much perfect. No nicks in there. And again, this is silky smooth. This is beautiful. What you expect from a knife, actually, it's that sharp. Okay, to get the nicks out of this beautiful little White House axe, I did 18 minutes filming, and obviously I was playing around with the camera, talking to the camera and whatever, but I've got filmed 18 minutes, and the 18 minutes is me of just abrading or chatting to the camera about what I'm going to do. So getting a nick out of your axe like this is simple, quick, nothing to be afraid of. Anyone can do it. All you need is a file and some abrasives. And just be very aware of your grind and the shape, your edge profile here. You don't want to change the edge profile too much, and you certainly don't want to change the grind. As you can see, it's shiny, but it's still, I can see all the scratch marks here. That's fine. You don't need to polish them out. They will come out over time. It really doesn't matter. What is important is that the very edge, right down at the bottom there, is shiny and perfectly stropped. And perfectly stropped, because that's where the cutting takes place. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Do give me a follow and do pop along to my website. I've written a book on about how to sharpen practically every tool under the sun. It's specifically aimed at sort of green woodworkers and heritage workers, tool users as well.